Good morning, this is Jack from YardShot.net, and this is a pre-market recording for Monday, the 6th of July. Our disclaimer, we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share our technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. We're not here to issue trading signals. Right, I was expecting to see a low in the 3100 area today and then higher, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that low, and we've gone higher directly. What does this leave us with? Well, we've got a couple of nice looking rising channels. We're on ES and NQ, and we got a little bit of negative divergence here. Could we see a turn here? Yes. I'm not seeing any powerful reason to think that we're going to. And I would note that if we make it up to channel resistance, that's now in the 3200 area, and would open up a potential retest of this early June high here, which arguably is the obvious target now that we have gone up beyond this resistance. So waiting to see what happens here, but I'm very much keeping an open mind, and I am wondering very much about the retest of this high, which we could see, and we could see within this channel. So we'll see how that goes. NQ, I've got another channel. Now NQ is over the obvious resistance, probably an overthrow on the bigger picture chart, but this opens up the chart, the opportunity for SPX to retest the high, and it may do that again. If we retest this high, we'll have some negative divergence. If we have a load of sell signals fixed, then we'll see a retracement, and we could have a high here, but waiting to see which way that goes. RTY, we've got a nice looking support trend line here now. No obvious resistance trend line, but I'm going to be looking for one this morning. We do have some negative divergence here. If there is a retest, which it looks like, we've got a possible 60-minute sell signal forming. And YM, as soon as it retests this high, we'll have one there as well in potential. Got a nice support trend line there. Not an obvious resistance trend line yet, but I will be looking. DAX is pretty close to a retest of the high, and the retest of the high is the obvious target. Retest this short-term high, and that will give us negative divergence, but we're probably going to see a retest of this high here. And ESTX equally is not far away from a test of the June high. In fact, it's very close. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that's very close. So again, retest of the short-term high gives us negative divergence. We could find resistance when we get up to the retest of the June high. These are all pretty much in reach, or at least obviously not applicable on NQ. It's coming into view on yes, it's within easy reach on DAX and the STX. RTY is a long way away, and I'm not really looking for that to make it. YM, the same. So watching to see. These ones have not made their retests of these highs here, and may not. Okay, so let's have a look at the RTH charts. In terms of support, I was talking about this yesterday. We've got the daily middle band in about the 3100 area on ES, and I thought we were going to see a test of that this morning, but we haven't seen it. That is support if we get down there. We're still on a 15-minute RSI 14 sell signal, and this morning we're going to have some negative divergence on the RSI, hourly RSI 14. Whether or not that could just go through it, through that divergence at the open, but I think we'll have a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing there, and I'll be watching that. In terms of the support, the daily middle band is really the first real support here. We've got the 50-hour moving average a bit below that, and about 3070 area. We'll see how it goes today. But what I'm thinking here is there is a strong argument, having got through this resistance on NQ, which is this resistance, this megaphone resistance, as we are over it, we close the week over it, we can certainly go a bit higher. That could open up the retest of the of this high on SPX, and there's a good argument that that would be. I'm not seeing an obvious head and shoulder option here. That would be a pretty good argument for a double top to be made there, and possibly a move up to retest the all-time high, which cannot be ruled out. Although I'm not seeing that as particularly likely, but you know, to be honest, it's crazy we've even got up here. So does it need, how much crazier would it be to get up to the all-time high retest? Not an awful lot crazier. Keeping an open mind. All right, DX. DX has broken down. We have lost the positive divergence here. This may well be on the way directly back to a retest of the low at 95.56. ZB, this is still on a 60-minute buy signal. It's not showing much signs of actually delivering anything. Does this look like a head and shoulders? No, but if it, well, Ideally, I was talking yesterday with Chart Chat about this coming back in for a retest. It doesn't look as though it's necessarily going to do that. We are still on 60-minute buy signal, and that's matched by a signal on TNX. So I'm wondering if that's going to make target. CL. CL is heading towards a retest of this high, I think, and that could be the second high of a double top. We're in a resistance area that goes up into about the 42.5 area, and I'm expecting to see a turn in that area. NG. NG, I've drawn in a possible wedge resistance trend line here, but the main thing is we formed an IHS and we have broken up from it. If this holds support, then the obvious next target is in the 2.05 area, and that looks doable. I think we may well be on the way there. GC, I'm expecting to see at least a retest of this high and probably a bit higher, because I'm expecting SI to come back and retest this high in the 19 area, and we're getting pretty close to that. I'm expecting to see that at minimum. So I do have a possible target beyond that in about the 19.25 area, which could be hit, and which is the obvious target. HG hit the obvious target here. I've got a big trend line there, which could be holding as resistance, but this could be a break up through it. We retested its high, that was expected. This could be the second high of a double top, or it could go a bit higher. If it goes a bit higher, I'll be looking for a target up here in about the 2.785 area. It's we'll see. It's we're getting pretty close to that. We'll see. It's I'm really expecting HG to turn with equities, and equities might be possibly be starting a turn here, but there may not be. EURUSD is well, if DX is going to retest the low, EURUSD is on the way back to the high. GBP USD, a daily buy signal is now fixed. Possible IHS forming here. USD JPY. Looks like a possible flag here, but this could just be turning down. I was thinking we may well retest the high here, and we haven't done that. We may not. Obviously, if DX is going down, it's likely to go at whatever speed with it. This, again, looks a bit like a flag here on USD CAD. We are on a 60-minute buy signal, but it's not showing any signs of a high retest so far. Australian dollar, we have a sell signal, but that's failed. Testing the annual pivot. If it breaks above it, then that opens up a retest of this high. And the same on NZUSD, which still has 60-minute sell signal fixed, and that hasn't failed. But we have lost the nice looking double top setup that I was looking at last night. KC, I was talking about the possibility this would come back for a retest of the low. That's still looking very much like a possibility, and obviously it's much of the way there. I think this may well retest the low. However, the 60-minute sell signal has now made target. SB, probably on a way back to a retest this high. This should be a flag megaphone, which is breaking up. CC, retested this low, which was expected. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing, possible bottoming action here. Wheat, consolidating between monthly pivot and weekly pivot at the moment. Monthly pivot, pretty solid resistance. If it can break up through that, then obviously it can go higher, but I'm still wondering about a possible low retest, although grains don't really seem in the mood for low retests. Corn, no negative divergence here, decent looking retracement. It hasn't made the minimum 38.2, but then it hasn't really broken down from a pattern either. So waiting to see what happens here, but I think the overall lean is probably long. Soy, 60-minute sell signal fixed, but it's still making higher highs. I think the obvious lean on here is probably continuation higher as well. Live cattle, we've almost made it to what is likely to be bull flag channel resistance, and watching to see whether it breaks this. If so, it'll open up a retest this high, and no particular reason to think it'll stop there. Lean hog still looks like a bear flag forming, still on a weak 60-minute buy signal, waiting to see what happens. All right, great. What questions we got today, guys? ES recap, right. We have a position here where we've got a number of sell signals brewing, or with retests we could form sell signals. We've got over this resistance here. We come back and retested last week's high. I was thinking we'd do a bit of a lower low first, but we haven't done that. We do have some negative divergence here. We could turn. We've got a nice looking channel here, and we've got another one running in Q. The resistance here on the channel is slightly north of 3200, and I am wondering about a retest of this June high here at 3221. I've got nothing really strong saying that we don't do that. that, but channels often turn into wedges. It's possible we'll fail before we do that. And we've got some negative divergence here. I think this is a possible weak sell signal brewing on ES. We've got another one on in Q as soon as we retest this high, which we'll probably do this morning. RTY, this is, I think, possible 60-minute sell signal brewing, and YM. As soon as it retests this overnight high, we'll have another one of those there too. We've got a lot of negative divergence here. I'm not that happy with well, I think the trend line setup is definitely suggesting that we may well be going up into the 3200 area from here, and I'm wary about that happening. I am watching rising support, which on ES is in the 31.27 area. If we break that, then that breaks the channel, and we may well be on the way directly down. The big support levels we've got are below that. Basically, it's starting at the daily middle band, which is in the 3100 area. All right. Any more questions, guys? All right, what to look for this morning? I'm wondering if we're going to make a high here, then we're probably going to see an AM high and retest all the overnight highs. That will give us some negative divergence, and we have a potential fail area there. Although, really, I'm leaning at least 50%, maybe more than that, towards seeing a retest of this June high now. But I'm open to persuasion. If we break the rising support, 3130 area, then we may not do that. I'll be looking at the pattern set up on ES and SPX to see what that is telling us now that we've definitely made this bull flag low, because obviously it's broken to higher highs, and I'll be looking at the 60-minute divergence when we start. And anything I get from that, I'll be sharing on Twitter. All right, guys. Definitely a day to keep an open mind here. We could fail here, but we may be continuing up towards 3200, and if so, we could make that retest within this channel pretty easily. So it may be that we're going to be going on the way up there, so we will see. All right, cheers, guys. I'll catch you later.